This program brought to you by the Hyundai Lantra Runout. With great runout, stocks won't last. Hyundai.
Seven Nightly News with Gary Wilkinson.
4 young lives lost, an emotional tribute to the sailors who died in the Westralia tragedy. A twister tears through a tiny town. And Shane Warne out. Australian cricket facing 12 months minus our top spin bowler. Good evening. No words were enough to comfort the friends and family of the 4 sailors who died in that tragic fire on board the Australian Navy tanker Westralia. Our nation's leaders, the memorial service held in Perth, the captain of the ship telling us all just how much the young servicemen and women will be missed.
We as a crew deeply feel the loss of Brad, Phil, Megan and Sean.
A sea of emotion. Many broke down, clinging to loved ones for comfort. Others stood in stony silence as they remembered their mates killed 3 days ago in an engine room fire on HMAS Westralia. And today, the first public words from Westralia's commander, Stuart Dietrich, the man who made the toughest decision of his life when he sealed the blazing engine room and flooded it with carbon dioxide.
We have fought and won a mighty battle, but we have lost 4 shipmates from our family. However, we are Westralians, and we will overcome this tragedy.
Tributes too for the sailors injured in the battle against the flames.
Your courage and determination in the face of extreme adversity is an inspiration to us all.
Prime Minister John Howard offered his sympathy to the families of the dead. So too Opposition Leader Kim Beazley, Governor-General Sir William Dean and Australia's top military leaders. As colleagues, families and friends bow their heads and pay tribute to the 4 young sailors who lost their lives, one question remains unanswered. What started the fire in the engine room of HMAS Westralia? The Navy's inquiry into the disaster starts Monday. Amanda Walsh, 7 Nightly News.
Just a small contingent of Australian troops is to stay on in Kuwait. Cabinet deciding today to bring most of them home. The soldiers, mainly from the elite Special Air Service, have been on standby in the Persian Gulf since February. They were sent as part of an international force aligned against Iraq. Just 30 troops will remain. Our Defence Minister warning, though, that if Iraq again blocks entry to United Nations weapons inspectors, our soldiers will be ready to return to duty. A shaky start for wharfies back on the docks today after a 4-week lockout. Cargo is being moved across the country right now, but the future of Patrick's 1,400 waterfront staff is still in doubt.
Containers of cargo stranded for a month, finally moving on our nation's docks. Trucks started rolling in and out of Patrick's major terminals this morning. The return to work delayed by a lengthy security check. Unionists claim Patrick's deliberately held them up.
So you'll make me late for work, the boss will sack me.
In Brisbane, the huge queue of semi-trailers started moving when wharfies arrived for work early this afternoon.
Yeah, I just want to get on with it and get back to work, you know.
Some delegates were turned away, identified as being on Patrick's blacklist.
Get off the side.
Tension also at Sydney's Darling Harbour, where administration mistakes meant that this return to work was only a practice run.
That was a rehearsal. Out there, we'll come back at 5 o'clock.
Workers at Darling Harbour returned for the real thing a short time ago. The unionists will work for nothing until the 25th of May, when their long-term future should be decided.
We'll be making certain that these companies are profitable, so that creditors' meeting can only determine one thing, and that is to continue operating.
Monique Wright, 7 Nightly News.
New claims today about the Dubai training scheme where former soldiers were trained to operate on Australian wharves. Organisers called it a special job for John Howard, but the Prime Minister says that's a joke.
As they returned to work this morning, wharfies were armed with allegations that reach to the Prime Minister's office, and the ammunition came from their sworn enemies, the former SAS soldiers who organised the failed Dubai training mission for union-busting wharfies. The men who ran the scheme say one of those who approached them with the idea was Dr. Stephen Webster, a government consultant who claimed he was doing a special job for John Howard. Dr. Webster denies the conversation took place. The Prime Minister says the whole thing is a joke.
I know Dr. Webster because he's on Peter Reith's staff. I'm getting very bored with an insubstantial issue.
The man who now runs the company that set up the Dubai scheme says he's seen nothing that directly implicates John Howard or Workplace Relations Minister Peter Reith. But he says someone in the government should have known what was happening.
When they've met with Webster and they've had conversations with Webster and then Webster introduces them to Corrigan, it's very believable from their point of view that the government still knows all about this.
Minister Reith says he's referred phone calls Mr Harris made to his office to the Federal Police. Because of that, Mr Harris says he's thinking of suing the minister, and Patrick's boss Chris Corrigan is threatening to sue the Dubai organisers, claiming they secretly taped a conversation. The opposition wants an inquiry to find out who knew what and when. In Canberra, Jeff Bruce, 7 Nightly News.
A wild storm described as a mini tornado has swept through a small Victorian town, causing massive damage. Residents say it was 60 seconds of sheer terror.
The giant water spout struck Wonthaggi, carving a path of destruction through 7 blocks. Betty Paputi's roof demolished, she cradled her grandson, hiding terrified in a cupboard.
It just sounded like a truck, a real loud truck coming along, and all of a sudden it just hit.
Next door at number 45, the garage caved in on a car. Sheds upturned, leaving a tangled mess. Inside, Caterina Battaglia feared for her life. What do you think of all the mess here?
Oh, geez, terrible.
Terrible.
Terrible, especially for my son.
Debris flew through the air, fences flattened, tree branches crashing to the ground. Amateur photos captured the mini tornado as it surged towards the town. At 11:45, it bombarded, within minutes raining havoc. Deja vu for Jim McCulley, his house hit by a similar freak of nature 4 years ago.
Well, I was sitting in the kitchen and I just heard this great whoosh, and then things started flying around.
The damage bill is estimated to climb into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. SES volunteers will work into the night to help those hit hardest.
On Thaggy Base, we have a reasonable amount of damage at Haglethorne Street on Thaggy over.
The Bureau of Meteorology warned residents that weather conditions are prime for another strike within days.
I think it's very hard for people to take any precautions.
Claire Brady, 7 Nightly News.
Terror of a different kind. Security experts have warned that Sydney faces a real threat of a major terrorist attack during the 2000 Games. And their scenarios are frightening, warning that Australia must be prepared for anything, even the use of chemical weapons.
Atlanta showed how easy it is for the Olympics to become a terrorist target. Oklahoma City showed just how devastating their weapons can be. Now an expert's warning that terrorists could wage the same type of warfare at the Sydney Olympics.
From a medical standpoint, the potential for devastation and overwhelming casualties is there.
He's told our doctors that chemical and biological weapons are also a threat. The sarin gas attack on the Tokyo subway killed 7 people and left more than 500 others injured.
If we get hundreds, if not thousands, of casualties at any one time, our medical system is fairly severely compromised.
The professor's urging us to formulate a disaster plan involving the military, law enforcement and healthcare workers.
These terrorists will use any weapon they choose, and you have to plan and prepare for all of these exigencies.
Our Olympic security chief says planning for any act of terrorism is well underway.
Our primary thrust has always been prevention and protection, and those sorts of measures have been in place for a long time.
Richard Lenarduzzi, 7 Nightly News.
Our foreign minister left looking for a way out of Melbourne as angry students tried to stop his getaway. More on their protest next. And we'll take a ride with the Aussie adventurer who wants to go further than just up and away.
something I have to tell you.
Saturday, 7:30.
It's quite exciting.
A musical producer's moved in next door, and Hyacinth is out to impress.
So you must be prepared.
Get ready for a culture shock on Keeping Up Appearances, Saturday, 7:30. Then on Harry's Practice, beat those barking dog blues. We'll check out the Mexican walking fish.
And they have some rather unusual traits.
And meet the world's crankiest cat. Plus, Harry takes on a feisty old fella. Harry's Practice after Keeping Up Appearances, Saturday on 7.
I'm interested in buying an Optus mobile.
Oh, we've got hundreds. I'm sure there's one with your name on it. What is your name?
It's Jill Perry.
Just a moment. Oh, here we are.
Oh, wow.
I'm Susie Merrill. I'm after a cordless phone.
There it is. I'm Ron Baxter. I'd like a fax machine.
Looking for a phone or fax? There's one with your name on it. At Tandy, your telephone store.
With the end of the financial year in sight, there's never been a better time to lease a brand new Maxima. The Nissan Access Prestige lease has a low interest rate of 5.75%. That's right, 5.75%. And Nissan guarantees the future value of your Maxima when the lease is up. The range is priced from just $37,990 drive away and comes loaded with luxury features. The Nissan Maxima.
7 Queensland is proud to support Red Shield 98. Please call 13 32 30, that's 133230, to become a collector or give a donation and help the Salvation Army.
Who'll come if the Salvos don't? Please dig deep for Red Shield 98. Thank God for the Salvos.
Nurses in South Australia are threatening to close public hospital beds after rejecting the state government's latest pay offer. They said they've got no choice but to take industrial action.
The nurses gathered at Rundle Park, ready to take their message to the public. But in a dramatic twist, moments before the march began, an olive branch from the state government. The offer, a 9% pay hike, up 3% on the previous offer. But the nurses were angry.
What do we want? Equal pay! When do we want it? Now!
More than 800 nurses marched through the city before holding a rally which roundly condemned the new state government offer. The nurses want wage parity with interstate colleagues and say they need a 12 to 15% increase to catch up.
Unfortunately, they didn't go far enough to take us away from the need for industrial action next week.
The campaign includes closing 1 in 5 hospital beds in all public hospitals, banning elective admissions to public health services, as well as certain administrative duties. The Nursing Federation has given the state government a deadline of 9 a.m. next Wednesday to meet their demands, or they'll take industrial action, and they're prepared to tough it out.
They have had enough, but they are not prepared for further budget cuts. They are not prepared to be fobbed off. They want reasonable salaries and conditions, and they want them now.
7 Nightly News requested a response from Health Minister Dean Brown this afternoon, but he was unavailable for comment. Phil Luke, 7 Nightly News.
Students in Melbourne have attacked Foreign Minister Alexander Downer, attempting to ambush his government car. They accused Mr Downer of doing nothing to condemn Indonesia's occupation of East Timor, trying to block his exit from the Melbourne Business School. As police began dragging students away, they realised Mr Downer was being taken out through a back door. The protesters ran after the minister's car in a bid to surround and stop it, but Mr Downer managed to escape his critics. Meantime, there have been more violent protests in Indonesia, with students there defying orders to end their demonstrations. Students and riot police fought pitched battles in West Java near Bandung's university campus. The students are angry about massive price hikes imposed under guidelines spelt out by the International Monetary Fund. At least 6 people have died in protests across the country, the worst in Medan. Firebombers have struck the Portuguese enclave of Macau, wrecking cars and shops in 24 separate attacks. Police are blaming Prague gangs believed to be waging a territorial war ahead of Macau's return to China next year. An Aussie balloonist is about to take part in a daring bid to fly non-stop around the world. John Wallington from Canberra will join 2 US balloonists on a mission to the very edge of our atmosphere.
Of all the attempts to float non-stop around the world, none has ever been this ambitious or this dangerous. 3 men will attempt to fly higher, faster and further than ever before. One of those men, Australia's John Warlington.
If we succeed in getting around the world, it'll just be the most sensational achievement that I could imagine.
This giant helium balloon will carry the crew to the very edge of space to an altitude of 32 kilometres.
This is probably the last great adventure in the history of aviation.
And this adventure will begin in Australia. Most attempts have been made in the Northern Hemisphere, but all have failed because of unpredictable winds and unfriendly countries like Libya. They'll launch from Alice Springs and fly the friendly skies, mostly over water with predictable weather. In a pressurized cabin and wearing spacesuits, they'll float in the stratosphere. The sun will heat the air to 200 degrees, pushing the balloon to 40 kilometres above the ground. In the United States, John Vors, 7 Nightly News.
Finance news now. The Australian share market broke even today as the banks edged up and resource companies slid back. The All Ordinaries dipping just slightly after a 78-point fall on Wall Street. Telstra shed 4 cents, News Corp lost 31, AAPT gained 10. National Bank added 6 cents, the Commonwealth 7, Rio Tinto lost 26. The Aussie dollar is hovering around 63.5 US cents, 84.29 yen, almost 39 pence. US dollar at 1.77 Deutschmarks. An ounce of gold just over $300 US. The FT is up in trading tonight. The Nikkei finished the day 5 points higher and the Hang Seng was up 88 points. Well, a major blow for Australian cricket. Shane Warne sidelined for up to 12 months. Warne will miss the Commonwealth Games and the tour of Pakistan, but our star spin bowler says he's determined to be right to take on the Poms in the Ashes series.
The world's most successful spin bowler walked into ACB headquarters with a smile, but an operation on Wednesday night confirmed his worst fears.
Obviously, it was disappointing to, that could be 12 months. I've never been one to miss games. I always sort of want to play every game.
Australia's second leading Test wicket taker will be out of action for at least 6 months, but that could be longer. Then comes the million-dollar question, will our most potent weapon with the ball be as effective when he finally makes it back?
I'm going to do everything in my powers to make sure that I'll be back in around 6 months, or as close as I can. I shouldn't imagine there being any problems. Just got to touch wood and hopefully there's no problems.
There are serious concerns why Warne didn't return home earlier from Australia's recent tour to the subcontinent and his decision to continue on to Sharjah for a one-day tournament that mattered for little. Warne's absence is a major blow to Australia's prospects for Pakistan. He'll now embark on an extensive physiotherapy campaign in a desperate bid to be fit for our Ashes defence. Warne joins a long casualty list in Australian bowling. The ACB is so concerned a special summit has been called later this month to discuss our decimated bowling ranks, and a full-time fitness advisor will be appointed next week. Jim Wilson, 7 Nightly News.
And lots more sport now with Paul Gregg, and finally the storm calmed in the NRL.
That's right, Wilco. They've had their first home loss of the season. St George showed some real class at Olympic Park. More on tonight's league matches coming up. And the Swans' amazing recovery at the MCG.
The next time there are rioters, shoot them.
Before Leonardo DiCaprio's blockbuster movie hits the screens, another man wore the Iron Mask. Saturday, 8:30. Richard Chamberlain in a story of treachery, treason and triumph.
No one is ever to look upon his face.
Under the reign of Louis XIV, France was in turmoil. Locked away was the country's salvation. The swashbuckling adventure, The Man in the Iron Mask. Saturday, 8:30 on 7.
So your hair's a little damaged? That's okay. Really damaged? Even better. Because the worse the damage, the harder this works to restore shine. Pantene Pro-V Treatment Conditioner. The Pro-Vitamin-enriched formula fortifies hair all the way to the tips. It's damage control for vulnerable ends, so they actually split less. Pantene Pro-V Treatment Conditioners every day. For hair so healthy, it shines. The worse the damage, the harder it works.
Some people like chocolate Wheatons because of the delicious chocolate, but I like them because they're filled with the goodness of real wheat, just like me.
Weston's Chocolate Wheaton. They're chock full of wheat.
delicious Cadbury Dairy Milk Mousse now comes in a big new family-sized tub. So it's big enough to share.
I've been pretty lucky in my life. For my friends and family in Papua New Guinea, things are looking pretty tough right now, and they really need your help. The drought in Papua New Guinea has left half the population without food and essential medical supplies. It's a disaster sitting on Australia's doorstep. St Vincent de Paul is appealing for your help to avert this disaster. Society workers who are actually in the worst hit areas guarantee your aid gets through to those who desperately need it. Please give generously to the St Vincent de Paul Papua New Guinea Aid Appeal by mailing your donation today.
Melbourne has lost its first home match in the National Rugby League, going down to St George at Olympic